Right now, summer sports are in full swing. Baseball is firing on all cylinders, and there's a certain soccer tournament the world's watching. Something you should be watching is your vehicle's engine. That's why Pennzoil Synthetics gives you complete protection for top engine performance. Pennzoil. Make the switch.
Yeah. Cleveland does rock this morning, and we are glad to rock along with it. Hi, everybody. Welcome in to another edition of Golic and Wingo on ESPN Radio and ESPN2. We are live from Progressive Field in Cleveland, Ohio. Mike Golic, we have come back to the cradle of your existence.
Well, we've come home again. I love coming home. Always do. Love coming here. Always great to see everybody out early. I don't know why you get up so early. We always have to work out the mistiming of the initial applause. That is working out.
So let's try that again. Yeah. We're here at Progressive Field.
Woo! There you go. There we go. Now it's a great time to come home again.
We are great on that second try.
Yeah, we really
are. A second-team All-American.
It's all about been here for many years coming in. That added the kid this time. What's up, dude?
Yeah, good to come back to your home a little bit. It's always interesting for me coming back to Cleveland because there's this idea of assumed fandom, and people always assume that I grew up here too, which I have to remind them that while we have plenty of roots back here, and your mom, my grandma, both your brothers, all still out on the side, I didn't actually get the pleasure of growing up just a stone's throw from here, just a stone's throw from the stadium.
But people always associate you with Cleveland and the winning teams. Oh, are you bummed the Cavs lost? Oh, you bummed the Indians lost? Well, wait a minute, they're not my team.
I tell you what, though, this is a good time period to have that association right now. I mean, listen, I get the
last
Indians.
Two games aside.
Yeah. You know what? This last week aside has been a little dicey, but in general, the last couple of years, a lot of success, and now we just got to get the Brownies on board.
So you're talking about being a bandwagon junker?
Oh, 100%.
I don't want you.
100%.
I don't want you. Stay over there on your side. I don't want you.
Listen, that's fine. You can't control, all right? I'm just hanging on the back of the bandwagon.
I saw you here yesterday roaming around the city. We're going to getting into all kinds of trouble.
Oh, yeah.
Now you know my pain. Okay.
Oh, I'm sorry. Was all that on air?
Yes.
Oh,
I sit here and I'm trying to do a show. I'm trying to give, and they have a little daddy-father-son argument every morning. It's ridiculous. But we are here. We're excited to be here. It's a lot of fun. By the way, I can confirm, a la Jobber Chamberlain, the midges are real.
They are real.
The midges off Lake Erie are here. They're here in full force.
They really are.
Yeah.
We'll be breathing in a few of those during the show today. No doubt about it, yes.
Just
protein.
got one.
All about protein.
Sure. Nothing could be wrong with that. Okay, a lot to get to, and let's start with what's trending, ladies and gentlemen, around Thank you very much. Around the sporting world, we'll start with something is important, and that's in our nation's capital. Folks, Capitals fans, this is an unusual feeling. This is called optimism. You're one win away. The Washington Capitals beat the Vegas Golden Knights 6-2 in D.C. and are now the 34th team to take a 3-1 series lead in the Stanley Cup Final since it went to a best-of-7 format in 1939. The good news, 32 of the previous 33 have gone on to win the Cup.
Yeah. When's the last time? Remember, it was 1942, I believe.
Yes.
Yes.
Well, but here's the bad news. The Capitals are only 7-5 all-time in best-of-7 series after going up 3-1. So everything is saying it's there for the Caps except the Caps' history itself.
Yeah, but we can't say a whole lot about the Golden Knights' history because they don't have any history. They've lost 3 games entering the Cup Final. They lost the last 3. They've only lost 3 going in to the Stanley Cup Final. A lot of it. Listen, we give a lot of love to the goaltender when they're hot, and then when they're not, you have to as well. Marc-Andre Fleury, you look at his first-round, second-round conference finals, 97%, 93%, 93%. Saves. Here it's just 84%, so it's gone down. He's had a tough one. The Golden Knights in this one early. How many times? 2 or 3 times they hit the pipe.
Oh.
I mean, it's one of those where you just wonder if it's just not going to be your night when it happens, and then all of a sudden Washington just went on an absolute roll up 3-0 after the first period. That was all she wrote.
Yeah, we heard about the hockey gods earlier in this series. Well, someone was again looking out for Holtby in this one wide open net that James Neal just sends off the pipe. So much so, I heard that he had one of the managers or one of the assistant coaches on the team kiss his stick.
He did. The guy actually kissed his stick and he scored.
It worked.
Yeah, it didn't score enough, obviously, but there was a man kissing the
paddle.
There you have whatever works.
In a world full of hockey gods, there's no really surprise to me that stick magic would be involved in this.
Word is they went out to dinner after the game. Yeah.
Here's the best part. To your point, though, the last team to blow this kind of lead was the Toronto Maple Leafs in 1942. So it has happened. It has been a long, long time. But again, Capital fans must be sitting on the edge of their seat saying, I can't get too excited. I can't get too excited because all I know is failure and abject misery and horrible heart-wrenching disasters from this point on.
Like I say, every stat you guys have read seems like we've been building up the Caps for this harvest
for a letdown, right?
to make sure that we can harvest their heartbreak at the peak moment. So for Randy Scott and a host of other Caps fans in the building for us at ESPN, I'm praying that doesn't happen.
Oh, it would be terrible. The Capitals took command of Game 4, never look back. Protecting the lead is brought to you by ADT. Considering home security? Well, consider this. For 140 years, ADT has helped stop more crime than any other home security company. Visit ADT.com to learn more. We continue with what's trending. And the Yankees split their doubleheader with the Tigers yesterday in Detroit, and Aaron Judge set a record.
Oh, boy.
And it's not a record he wants.
No.
Judge became the first ever player to record 8 strikeouts in a doubleheader, including 5 in one game, or as we like to call it, the Platinum Sombrero in the nightcap.
It's getting too used to that.
Well, he and Giancarlo Stanton each have won this season.
I think that the team, I should say, is getting more used to that. Judge is now second in baseball with 83 strikeouts. Only Joey Votto has more with 85. Stanton is third with 76. So you have number 2 and number 3. This was an interesting one in the nightcap. It was Stanton who got hit by Mike Fiers, the pitcher.
Yep.
Now, that's the same guy a couple of years ago that hit Stanton in the jaw.
Right.
And, I mean, that's
why he wears that protective
hit him in the face. It was a horrible situation. Fiers hit him again. Hit him in the arm in this one. And Stanton stared him down. That's a big man to stare you down going down the first baseline. Catcher gets in the way. They work things out. Later in the game, Stanton hits a home run off of him. Goes like a golf shot. Hits a home run off of him. Does a bat flip. Circles the bases. And when he crosses home plate, he kind of does a flip and point at the pitcher. And he even admitted after the game, someone said, "Did you point to him after?" And he kind of paused like he didn't want to say. And he said, "Yeah, I pointed at the pitcher." He said, "Is what it is. What are you going to do?"
And those are the moments that I beg baseball players not to fight it. You understand it goes against everything in the nature of the sport, but in that moment, you've got a genuine, what we could call, I mean, in NBA circles, that would have been a full-on beef. We've seen Instagram fall out from it. This can at least stay concentrated on the field, but a great moment for him, and certainly for Judge, tasting a little bit of what his teammate had earlier in the season, but an even bigger story with the Yankees and us, actually, that we'll get to in a little bit.
Involving a doubleheader.
Yes, it does.
And we will get into that a little bit later, but I do love what Judge said after the game when he was talking about it. I'm assuming one of the reporters said, "Hey, that was a rough day."
Yeah.
He responds, "That's not a rough day. That's a terrible day."
Yeah.
But then he got out. But this is why you love guys like this, and especially when they're young kids. They say this. But the beauty of baseball is that I get to wake up fresh, new at bats tomorrow.
Yeah, and he'll hit some long home runs that'll make people forget about
exactly
it. Exactly
right. And he'll strike out again, but hopefully not 8 times in a doubleheader one more time. We continue. And we stick to baseball. Madison Bumgarner will make his first start of the season for the Giants tonight. Opposite the Arizona Diamondbacks, Bumgarner began the season on the DL with that fractured finger on his left hand. It was his second DL trip of the career. The other came for last season with that left shoulder strain in a dirt bike accident.
Remember that? How about that? You're getting ready to start the season. You crash on your dirt bike, and you start on the DL. So he's coming back. Obviously, he has been absolute money. Especially in the postseason for a team trying to get there. Also, he's big at bat as well. His hitting is pretty impressive. He hit at least 3 home runs in each of the last 4 seasons, so he's got the big stick as well. But they all know how important he is to this team, so good to get him back.
Yeah, seeing guys like him and Kershaw out of the lineup has been kind of an unfortunate change-up for the little, not change-up in Kershaw's case, but unfortunate to see them out at a time, knowing the heat both of them bring to those matchups. For me, Mad Bum will always have a special place in my heart because of the most elite wedding photos ever taken, but also elite on the mound, and they're certainly glad to have him back.
Yeah,
this is still close.
Only a game and a half out. Diamondbacks up at the top of the West, so, good battle going on there. Dodgers are 2 out. Really, last place Padres are just 4.5 out, so a close division all the way around.
Look, if you told the Giants you would make it into June and you'd be at 500 and only a game and a half out without Bumgarner,
you take it.
You take
Absolutely
that in a heartbeat.
right. Yeah.
By the way, I do love the fresh, unique, and interesting perspective that Junior always brings to the show. All I think of about Madison Bumgarner is going out there in that World Series and like pitching on 1 day's rest and whatever. I'm going to stay in until it happens to be done. You prefer talking about his pictures, his wedding pictures he took with a cow.
Well, the livestock you got as well. I mean, I think it is pretty impressive.
I think it's important to note. I just want to paint a full picture.
Anybody can look at stats. Yeah. We give you the inside
I'm not looking at stats. I'm looking at a freaking hero out there on one day's rest.
I'm looking at a hero too. That cow needed love like everyone else.
There you go.
Okay, now we've gone to cow love. All right, this is we're off to a very, very inauspicious start today.
Don't worry, we had cows in there before. We got goat news later on.
Yeah,
Very livestock heavy show.
In about 3 minutes, I think we'll be talking about goat yoga, which I'm looking forward to in no way, shape, or form. We continue. Now, this is interesting. All right, day one of Major League Baseball's 2018 amateur draft was held on Monday, with the Tigers selecting Auburn right-handed pitcher Casey Mize first overall. He became the third player chosen out of Auburn in the top 10, joining Greg Olson and some guy named Frank Thomas.
Yeah, heard of him.
That worked out okay. But here's where it gets really interesting. The ninth overall selection by the Oakland A's was Kyler Murray. Now, why does that matter? Kyler Murray is projected to be the starting quarterback at the University of Oklahoma, replacing Heisman Trophy winner Baker Mayfield, whom the Cleveland Browns took first overall in this year's 2018 NFL Draft. Feel free to applause at any time.
Yeah.
Browns I put that on a tee for you there. Can we get everybody here some coffee, please? But here's the problem. Kyler Murray is slotted to make about $4.1 million as the ninth overall selection in the draft. And he says his plan is to play football this fall.
Yeah, again, he's projected starter, but there is a quarterback competition going on. He's talking about playing football. He's 5'11", so we're going with the
5'8".
Well, yeah, he's listed at 5'11", which means there's no way he's 5'11". And talking about being a quarterback, listen, if the dude loves football and wants to play football, more power to him. But when you start looking at the business decisions going on, you wonder, okay, what direction do I try and go in this, being a first round and ninth overall pick and the money that you can make there, as opposed to forgetting even the money you can make in football, but making it in football when you already have most of the stats physically against you at that position.
Yeah, I thought it was interesting, too, that the A's said they made this pick understanding that he was going to play football this fall, that they knew the risk involved potentially with this, but still felt he was enough of a talent to go after. So I thought that as interesting as anything else. They had built that into their plans, that they could have a guy that's going to go out and face all that risk of injury this fall. You mentioned the height, but I mean, basically like a $190 soaking wet. I mean, this isn't a big guy. Incredible athlete. Saw broke off one of those long runs last year when he was in doing spot duty for Baker Mayfield. So there's plenty of talent there.
I guess maybe he's looking at Baker Mayfield and say, wait a minute, 6-foot quarterback just went number one in the draft. So maybe it can still happen. And if his love of football is more than his love of baseball, I don't know. I don't know the young man personally to know where that is with him, but going back to play football after a lot of money staring him right in the face.
Well, the one thing that's unique about this situation, and it sort of punches holes in the NCAA theory of what college student athletes are. He could sign that contract right now and play this year.
Yes, he can.
For the Oklahoma Sooners.
Right.
So he could sign a contract worth $4.1 million and still play for the Oklahoma Sooners. Or he could take all that money and go play for the Oakland A's, etymology reference, or he could then, if it doesn't work out, come back and still be considered a student athlete.
Exactly.
I mean, Brandon Wheaton did that. Chris Weinke did that. Hayden Hurst, who was a first-round pick of the Baltimore Ravens this past NFL draft, got a $400,000 signing bonus as a pitcher in the Pittsburgh Pirates organization, and then couldn't find the strike zone at all. Discovered Steve Blass disease, not Rick Ankiel disease, and then still was able to go. So I do find it funny sometimes when the NCAA says, wait a minute, you had an extra cheeseburger that someone paid for?
Yeah, you took a ride on a golf cart on campus?
You are suspended, young man. Yeah. But here's $4 million. Yeah. Come back and play college football.
Take that and then
We're
come back and play.
Have you.
It seems kind of odd.
It seems like there's some incongruity there that needs to be dealt with. So he can do whatever he wants and still make the money. We'll see how it plays out going forward for him. And finally, in what's trending, Believe Land. The NBA Finals shift back to Cleveland for Game 3 tomorrow night. Since the conference finals started, the Cleveland Cavaliers, other than LeBron James, are averaging 12 more points per game at home than on the road, and that is going to have to be the case if they want to get back in this series, Mike.
Yeah, and listen, the role players are shooting better at home, and we've heard that time and time again. Role players be better at home, and you better hope that the Golden State role players don't play as well at home for as hot as they were in Game 2 back in Golden State, what they were doing. But that's what has to happen. We know as far as LeBron is concerned, it's the 8th time in his career he's trailed 2-0 in the best of 7. He's 3-4, actually. So he's looking for his 4th win there. I think it's going to be very difficult for him to do. But just like in hockey for the Golden Knights. All the Cavaliers can do is control one game. They control the game tomorrow. That's it. Try and get one win and build from there. And that's all the Golden Knights can do when they go back to Vegas. You just look at that one game, get that one game. This one at home for Cleveland. So hopefully their fortunes turn a little bit. And it's going to, you know what you're going to get out of LeBron. It's all going to come down to those role players.
This was the game before the series started. I said they had the best chance of winning, was coming back home because of the stark difference. And because, listen, Golden State has shown that they are imperfect this year. They are not the unstoppable juggernaut. They're a team that waxes and wanes in effort and attention span, and they're a team that we've seen get pushed already. For the Cavaliers, I thought, all things considered, you had other guys beside LeBron step up in ways that were already unexpected. George Hill has turned into a relatively consistent force. Kevin Love's had 2 back-to-back pretty solid games.
Just can't play defense.
Yeah, which, I mean, but you knew
that
going in.
Ryan Hollins certainly feels that
so,
way.
Yeah.
I mean, you know that going in, though. You don't go into a game plan expecting someone to do something outside of the realm of their control. So you understand he's going to give you certain things. I think the Cavs get this win tonight, and then from there it's where it gets interesting, because how much can they muster up at home? Tomorrow night, excuse me.
Yeah.
Fine. How much can they muster up at this point at home? I think it can still get interesting in this series. They played much better in Oakland than I ever expected.
They did. They really did. That one got away from them in the fourth quarter.
But
Remember, it was
Steph Curry hit a finals record 9-3.
And that had to happen.
He is.
Yeah, but
that's something that's never happened.
I get that point. You had 2 role players that were 11 for 11.
Sean
and you had
Livingston and JaVale McGee.
And you had Steph Curry set a record for threes, and you were down 7 with 10 minutes to go. Yeah. I mean, so I get what you're saying to build off of. Let me tell you that first game is still got to be, in their mind, unfortunately. But I get what you're saying. It wouldn't obviously not shock. I don't think a lot of people, if they were to get this game, will it be the only game they get? We'll have to wait and see, but it can only start with this game.
I hear you guys, and you're right. They played much better than I think anybody thought, especially game 1 when LeBron poured in 51. But at the end of the day, 2 moral victories amount to bupkis.
No, I get it. But there are no moral victories.
They got to beat them, and they haven't proven they can beat them. They've proven they can play with them. They haven't proven they can beat them.
Yeah, that's fine. I mean, if you're talking about a young team who needs to, quote, learn how to win, but we're talking about LeBron James leading this team. The guy knows how to win in a big stage. That's not an issue for me. There's a how to this, and their how so far had them outscore the Warriors in the third quarter, which we thought was the unstoppable rebel force.
Yeah.
I get they still lost by 19, but I'm saying that took an otherworldly effort. That took a finals record type effort, and a guy who blocked himself at the rim the game before, and JaVale McGee going perfect from the field.
I hear what you're saying, but again, he hit 9 threes, and they took him out with 3.5 minutes to play.
No, to the point.
He could have hit 12.
I know, but I think that's even more to the point. That's saying look at what it took for them to win. Again, I look at 19, but I look at sections of the game and say where the Cavaliers were.
They never had the lead in game 2.
And it was
a wire-to-wire win for
right. It was Steph Curry who.
Well, I'm raining on everybody's parade.
Yeah, you really are.
I'm really being the doggy
Because you're just looking at the big picture. You got to look at the game and what went on.
I'm breaking the number 1 rule of radio: know your audience. Yeah. I'm all in on Cleveland winning.
There you go.
I want you to know that.
No wonder they were cheering before.
I'm just saying I need to see it. Right?
No.
Like last year, they were in this exact same scenario, and they had the huge lead coming at home, and that was with Kyrie.
Yeah.
And they still didn't get it
done.
But
this is all you can do at this point. Yeah. What are they going to do? Sit in the meeting and say, well, it's over. Let's start planning your vacation.
That would be like that video at the end of game 1 where you see that with the video of LeBron sitting on the bench,
just sitting on the bench,
and J.R. Smith, and then at about a minute 35 in, he looks at try and lose it. We had a timeout, and he was just like, it
wasn't good. But you know what? You got to move on. You got to move on, and you have to when you're in a series in the playoffs, you don't be criticized as much as you try and build confidence. You try and be that constructive criticism on what was working and what you can build on.
Yeah, I don't think you have to work that hard to build confidence. This hasn't looked like a lopsided affair. It hasn't looked like they've been outclassed in ways that I expected. This hasn't looked like the first round of the finals where it was LeBron out there by himself without Kevin Love and Kyrie Irving in that series. It's just felt different. This has felt more like a team that belongs to be there instead of a team that kind of scratched and clawed and probably realistically shouldn't have gotten out of the first round.
I don't know, man. I mean, LeBron scored 51 in game 1, and they still found a way to lose.
You just don't want to look in, do you?
No, I'm
you know what? You're hovering from 30,000 feet. You stay nice and safe up at your 30,000 feet, and we'll dive in a little bit,
I'm looking at it as honestly as I can.
You know what we're going to do? We're going to get our hands dirty.
Mitches, get out of here.
And look in here and look into it and break it down a little bit.
I'm looking at it as honestly as I can.
Hand in the dirt. Put your hand in the dirt.
Hand in the dirt, Wingo.
Put it in the dirt. Do you think they're completely over game 1?
Oh, no, I don't think you're going to get completely over
But I'm
over
hovering.
But it doesn't mean they're not going to go out and win Game 3. I think they're going to win Game 3.
I'm just saying.
Does it matter if Game 1's on their mind if they win Game 3? Does it matter?
You might never get over your first breakup. It could have been that bad, but you might still be married now.
Right.
So
there you go.
You move on.
Wow, he just went down that road.
We went from wedding pictures and cow love to that.
Wow.
This is why we have him on the show.
Yeah.
I do it all for you, all right?
I'm still trying to figure it out.
Someone's got to carry this thing.
Yeah.
You are doing something, that's for sure. Again, we are presented by Progressive Insurance. All phone guests join us on the Shell Pennzoil Performance Line, but we are presented by Progressive Insurance. Small business protection just got easier with more than 30 coverage options available. Progressive has you covered. More at progressivecommercial.com. Again, we are here live in Cleveland at Progressive Field. It's They really went all out for us here, I got to say.
Oh, they always do. It's beautiful. Love it here.
It's really, really terrific, and there's a lot to get into, and we are delighted to be here. But coming up, what was supposed to be a celebration has been canceled, and we'll get into what really went down with that.
Hey everyone, Mike Golic here. Support for the Golic Wingo podcast comes from our friends at Rocket Mortgage by Quicken Loans. Chances are you're confident when it comes to your work, your hobbies, your life. Rocket Mortgage gives you that same level of confidence when it comes to buying a home or refinancing your existing home loan. Rocket Mortgage is simple, allowing you to fully understand all the details and be confident you're getting the right mortgage for you. To get started, go to rocketmortgage.com/Mikes. Equal housing lender, licensed in all 50 states, NMLS, consumeraccess.org number 3030.
Every deck is made for standing on, but there's only one that's always had a way of standing out. So if you're looking to bring more style, comfort, and creativity to your life outdoors, call on the brand that's known for making the most in outdoor living. From decking, railing, and lighting to furniture, fencing, and framing, at Trex, we're engineering what's next in outdoor living. To learn more about all of the outdoor solutions Trex has to offer, call 1-800-289-TREX or visit Trex.com. That's Trex.com.
We are delighted to be in downtown Cleveland this morning for Golic and Wingo from Progressive Field. It is turning into a beautiful morning, by the way. If you're
really
watching on ESPN2, good for you. If you're not, let's paint a picture for him, Mike. The sun is just coming through the clouds over at Progressive. I feel like there's something ethereal going to be coming down from the sky. It looks so nice.
I don't know what ethereal means, but it's really pretty out there.
You know what it means? It's the opposite of your phone. This is, by the way, is Mike Golic's phone. As soon as he got here today, he dropped it right out of the car.
I did. We got out of the car. I dropped it.
One beer in, by the way.
As it was falling, I went to catch it, and not only did I not catch it, I actually pushed it to the ground harder. And as soon as it hit, we all knew that it shattered. And now my thumbs have little cuts on them because I'm trying to text it. It's not good.
This is a great radio segment right here, everyone.
Thanks.
For those of you at home, a brilliant spider web.
Yeah.
What is it? An ethereal spider web.
There you go.
There you go.
Way to tie it all together.
I love Junior. This is a brilliant radio segment. You were talking about cow wedding pictures in the last segment.
True,
Kind of. Theater of the mind. People can imagine a cow at a wedding. It's a great scene.
But they can't imagine a broken phone?
Well, they didn't know it was broken. They just knew it fell. I had to alert them.
Sometimes I just don't like him being there.
Go sit.
You ever wonder what happened if the internet comment section came to life?
That's basically you. Again, we are presented by Progressive Insurance. All phone guests join us on the Shell Pennzoil Performance Line. But it is time for Straight Talk, brought to you by Straight Talk Wireless. Best phones, best networks, no contracts. And guys, we have a political football.
Yes, we do.
In the literal sense of what's going on. The Philadelphia Eagles, of course, won the Super Bowl in dramatic fashion, and there was much debate about whether or not they were going to go to the White House and have the ceremonial visit with the president. And as it turned out, a lot of them were not going to attend.
Yeah, they voted not to go.
They voted not to go, essentially.
Yeah, and from the White House, their statement was the Philadelphia Eagles are unable to come to the White House with their full team to be celebrated tomorrow. They disagree with their president because he insists that they proudly stand for the national anthem, hand on heart, in honor of the great men and women of our military and the people of our country. So they're not going to go. The White House is still going to have a ceremony. There's supposed to be fans that were going to show up there. They still want the fans to show up. The Marine Corps band is going to be there and playing and such. Listen, My thought on this isn't the first year or will be the last year that some players aren't going to want to go to the White House. For whatever reason, we have seen this. This isn't the first time with this president, with Donald Trump.
Well, it's happened with former president Jake Arrieta didn't go for the Cubs a few years ago. It's happened before.
So whatever people's reasons are, it's their reasons. My thought has always been, if I ever won the Super Bowl, whether I agreed or disagreed with what the president is doing, I'm going to the White House. So that was my thought. And if somebody didn't want to go, that's their thought. I'm not going to sit there and have a heated discussion with a teammate if he doesn't want to go. That's their choice. I said that all along. I would be one that would want to go. I got to go to the White House one time when George Bush was in office. Greene and I went, and I mean, it was unreal. It was for Little League, for T-ball, to be analysts at a T-ball game on the lawn and then had dinner at the White House. And it's amazing, just because you're there, that people don't agree with who's in that president's time, just ripped us for going. And I'm like, I went to the White House. I was going to the White House. I wanted to go to the White House. And if I won a Super Bowl, I would go to the White House because I wanted to go to the White House. I'm not making it political. I know It's got a little deeper this year. I do understand that part of it.
But there is a clarity here. They were still, whoever was going to go was still going to go. Right. There was a large percentage that said they weren't going to go.
No, I know that changes.
They were uninvited.
That was just one part. That was just the first part of my comment.
Okay. Yeah. Well, you took a long time getting there.
Well, we have 4 hours.
So continue.
I mean, but then that's the point. So you want to go then, but then the whole thing gets pulled, and obviously there's nothing you can do about it. But overall, my general feeling that has been my thought all along about going to the White House.
And that was the Eagles' thought. You heard from Torrey Smith and Malcolm Jenkins and all these guys. Chris Long, when he was originally asked about this a long time ago, said, I probably wouldn't go, but I would never want to stop any of my teammates from having that experience.
And that happened to him last year when he was with the New England Patriots. The Patriots went, Chris Long did not go.
And so the whole point of this becomes exactly what we've seen for the last couple of football seasons now, which is this president versus the NFL. Right. It's why the anthem policy got changed to what it did. We heard some of the owners saying they felt pressured from the president behind the scenes, and now you've got a guy who has tried to continue to position himself and a lot of people against the players in the NFL by saying these guys are un-American by not standing out on the field with their hands on their heart. All of these different things that are just patently untrue with the work that this team in particular has been a sort of Teflon force in this entire argument, because they go out and back it up in big ways. None of them have actually ever knelt for the anthem on this team. That's worth noting as well.
Correct.
That when you look at this group. So you're trying, in my mind, to make this something that it's not.
Well, what it's turned into is literally a political battle. That's what this has become. It has nothing to do with anything else. And by the way, the uninviting by the White House is essentially them getting ahead of the idea that maybe 15 or 20
only a few people.
That's exactly what this is all about.
They didn't want that bad look.
This is about trying to save face on both sides. Right. That's what this is.
I agree. And as I said, players have done this before. This is the most hands-on moment, though, we've had with a president who got involved with the NFL when the protests were going on, and it has now got to the point where the league has made a policy about it because of all of that. So while I say it's your choice whether you want to go, and that hasn't changed, it is the most direct hands-on we've had in I think ever, as far as reasons why players don't want to go and president being involved in their sport.
And to me, the most practical at this point, like you just said, this was a president that had a direct butting of heads with this group of players, so much so that we saw that response when they were called out, sons of bleeps. By the president, and had that call out. So you've had a group of guys that have butted heads against this every step of the way. I think from that sense alone that there's been that friction. Forget your political affiliation. It has very much been the White House against the NFL for a while. So you can imagine that wouldn't exactly be a place that they would feel comfortable going right now. This is a group that had talked about during their trip they were going to go out and do some work in the community while they're there, the guys that weren't going to be involved in this. So this seems, Trey, you mentioned getting out in front of it, but making it a headline that it shouldn't be. If you said, you know what, there aren't going to be enough guys that come, we want to make this a celebration for the rest of the fans there, we're not going to have the traditional visit, that's fine, but this seems adversarial.
Well, it's been adversarial with this president in the NFL for a long time, because let's be honest, he wanted to buy the Buffalo Bills a few years ago.
Right.
He wanted to get in, and the NFL basically said, yeah, no, bro, that's not going to happen. So what essentially has happened now is that the NFL didn't want him to be an owner. Now Donald Trump owns the league. is what happens.
Oh, yeah.
He has found a way to put that in the entire league in his back pocket.
Yeah, there's no doubt the league set this policy because of what was going on, and I'm still stunned the league did it. I don't know why.
I agree with you. This, as much as this is now about the president of the Eagles, this is really about the NFL messing up what could have been an easy thing.
So let me take everybody inside now, because the email I got, not everybody gets about this.
Look at you.
You'll know when I say it in a minute. But that's exactly right, of getting involved. I don't know why the NFL got involved with this when it seemed like it was all going away from a protest side. And it goes back to the coalition of players who even had trouble amongst themselves in meeting with the league. Well, I got an email, as all former players did, from the Players Association. And it laid out everything. So if you want to know where this has gone, for those that, and again, disagree, agree with the protest, whatever you want, but for those that are saying, well, what has happened because of it? Well, I just got a long email on one of the things that's happening because of it. The coalition of players that met with the NFL, it lays out everything about money that can be donated, matched, the amount of money, which can be up to $500,000 for a year, and even more than that in each of the 32 cities where teams are playing, and where the team gets involved, where the players get involved. I won't go through the whole thing, but just know it all got laid out. Finally, it laid out in a long email of just what's going on with helping in the community between police and citizens, schools, teachers, the whole thing. It got laid out, and it's a nice plan. I know some of the players wanted more and didn't agree with it all, but what was laid out there is going to help in a lot of communities. So for those that ask what concrete things happen, there was something concrete that I saw in that email that can happen and have great potential to happen in 32 of the cities where the NFL is played. So we'll see where it all goes. Everybody has their opinion about it. I get it. But as we finish this, it does seem to be the first really hands-on, we're not going to go, and then the White House says, okay, if most of you aren't coming, then we want no part of any of you, which certainly puts the spotlight back on it again.
It becomes a political thing. And it's not about the issue anymore. It becomes who can win, and who can win this situation. And you mentioned concrete. Well, there's a player that is with the Eagles that has been more concrete in doing things and not just saying things than anybody, and that would be Chris Long. And he played for free. He played for free this year. He donated his entire 16-game paychecks to certain charities that he deemed worthy. So if you're looking, well, what are they doing besides the protest? Take a look at one of the guys that's sort of involved in this entire thing, and that would be Chris Long. He basically decided to put his body on the line for free this year. And oh, by the way, if you want to check out his charity, waterboys.org, they do wonderful things where they are building wells to get clean drinking water to people all over the country, especially in Africa where it's desperately needed. So,
yeah, Malcolm Jenkins mentioned he's talked to people on both sides of the aisle. These are guys that are trying to go out there and do good work. And this just seems like another instance where you're trying to just reopen this wound if you're the White House side. And that seems unfortunate to me that we can't ever seem to get to a place that's past that we have to keep finding ways to re-aggravate.
Are you saying it's divisive right now?
Yeah, and I always have tried to be someone that sees the glass half full. So again, you can have whatever opinion you want. I just want people to know that there are concrete things going on. There are people that are being helped by players, whether you agree with how they went about it or not. That's your choice, and that's fine. But I just want to know the glass half full. There are programs that are going in place and people that are being helped with because of this.
There's a lot of that going on, and that needs to be talked about as well.
To give batters a different look, pitchers throw a changeup.
Your idea of a different look is sunglasses.
That's true. But La Quinta Inns and Suites is really taking the different look thing to a new level.
Definitely a major league makeover, starting with a bolder, brighter lobby full of comfortable spaces to let you settle in.
Or chill out in front of a big flat screen like Wingo would.
Oh, you know it. It's a changing La Quinta look to help you get in the zone and look sharp when you hit that big meeting.
Prepare to win at business with La Quinta Inns and Suites.
Book now at LQ.com.
Michael, we've got some tweets to discuss, do we not?
I don't have it.
Oh, well, we're on the air, so.
Oh,
there you
how
go.
you doing? 1-800-Flowers.com Twitter feed. Yeah. Sorry, I didn't know that.
Yeah. We are professionals.
Whatever.
At times.
Sports Center is brought to you by Ultimate Software. Most times not, though. In business, just like in sports, success comes down to having a talented team and a strong game plan. That's where we fall short.
Yep.
That's where Ultimate Software comes in with HR, payroll, and talent management technology that puts your people first.
Yeah, but other than that, we have nailed it.
Yeah.
See,
other than that, we have nailed it.
I really think it would be easy to do a perfect show and be perfect, but what fun is that?
I agree.
You know, it's much better to screw up and get laughed at, right? Or laughed with.
The art isn't
with on
either.
during. The art is in the imperfection.
There you go.
That's the nuance. That's the subtlety of what we do.
And that's us. Imperfect.
Stanzik, put the read back up. Come on, for crying out loud.
Stanzik,
we're talking about the show.
Adding to it.
He drops the read.
Oh, man.
The 30 for 30 podcasts have returned. Subscribe to 30 for 30 podcasts right now on the Listen tab of the ESPN app or on Apple Podcasts, brought to you by Delta, where it's our goal to connect your life in the air to your life on the ground. So, we are here at Progressive Field in Cleveland as we're getting set for Game 3 of the NBA Finals as it shifts from Oracle to the Q, Quicken Loans Arena. And we have our advanced team.
Yes, we do.
When we go on the road. The advanced team would be your son.
Yes.
Who we put through all kinds of hoops and strange things that he does whenever he goes on the road. And, Mike, you did something yesterday that I had never heard of, and I thought it was an actual joke. But this is a real thing.
Yeah, SEAL Team Fix was on the ground yesterday, and we got it done. So,
did you say SEAL Team what?
SEAL Team Fix.
Fix?
We're just going to let that slide?
2 C's.
SEAL Team Fix? That's you.
Who came up with that name?
I did 30 seconds ago.
Okay.
Yeah. So anyway, we were
way to brand it. By the way,
we were boots on the ground yesterday. No, it was exciting. So we were over here at Progressive Field. We were taking cuts in the batting cages downstairs.
You did pretty well there.
All things considered, went gloveless too, full Savage. So I was pretty proud of myself for that.
Mistake.
Gigantic mistake. The blisters on my hand prove that out. But so we had that as far as mainstream sports, and we're trying to get in the mood. We're trying to get some good juju back here. The Tribe had lost 3 of the last 4. They're coming to a massive 2-game homestand here before they head back out on the road. But we have that, and then we have Game 3 of the finals getting ready to go. And so to do that, I thought we'd channel the GOAT. We've been having this LeBron James-Jordan debate all finals because we get bored and sidetracked easily, and so that's where we wind up. But while we had GOATs on the mind, we went over and hung out with our friends at Progressive over at their headquarters, and they had GOAT yoga going on.
Now, that
is a real thing?
What in the you-know-what is GOAT yoga?
It is exactly what it sounds like. You do yoga with the company of a bunch of GOATs. So we had a lot of small LeBron James following us around the other day. You can see, for anyone watching right now on ESPN2, this is it. GOATs on top of you, crawling underneath you. They are everywhere. Where it got dicey was when they figured out that they were also walking around in their own personal bathroom. Yeah. And the minute you see one go, you are on guard for the rest of the time because I'm sitting there trying to recenter my chi, my third eye is focused, and all of a sudden I close my eyes and I can hear the sounds of goats peeing.
Yeah.
Not far from me.
Yeah,
and you very quickly realize that your head to them means nothing. It is just another place to go pee. So, but in all seriousness, the GOATs were very well behaved. They were fun. They loved all of the treats. They were out of my yoga mat.
So you basically just, and I really don't understand this, you do yoga and the GOATs just either walk around you or on top of you.
Yeah, no, apparently they really like jumping up on top of people, which you don't want to hurt the goat, so all of a sudden you have to turn downward dog into a little bit more of a table pose and kind of accommodate.
So what's the theory behind it?
How did this get started?
Well,
that's what I can't figure
everyone
out.
likes goats, and they've got these things called pygmy goats, which is basically like making a baby last forever, which is awesome. Yeah. And so you like to hang out with them in most settings. Yoga is something that's supposed to be peaceful, something that's supposed to help you be calming and relaxing. What's more relaxing than every time you look up, cute little baby goat just staring you right in the face?
It's supposed to be relaxing for while you're doing something relaxing, a farm animal jumps on you.
Yeah.
And that's relaxing.
Exactly. You got to focus on your balance and stuff like that. And this is all part of the training program. Again, we're trying to revitalize the city right now. We need a little bit of help. We're reeling.
Okay, but I have a question. Yoga is a peaceful Zen thing.
Yes.
And the last thing you want to worry about is free-form urine or droppings. I don't
Did you get peed on?
I don't understand how that makes it more fun.
You know what? It's
right. Are you with me? Right.
By the end, listen. Once you've recentered everything, it's that thrill. It's the rush of not knowing.
It's a rush.
It keeps you on your toes.
It's a rush
literally.
of something.
I have never hit a sturdier tree pose in my entire life, and I have those goats to thank.
They're very cute. I will say that
they are very cute. And on that note, we hope everybody enjoys their breakfast. If anybody's having Raisin Bran, it's a really big problem. Coming up, a scheduling conflict involving a potential boycott, plus someone went platinum in the wrong way. That's ahead.
To give batters a different look, pitchers throw a changeup.
Your idea of a different look is sunglasses.
That's true. But La Quinta Inns and Suites is really taking the different look thing to a new level.
Definitely a major league makeover, starting with a bolder, brighter lobby full of comfortable spaces to let you settle in.
Or chill out in front of a big flat screen like Wingo would.
Oh, you know it. It's a changing La Quinta look to help you get in the zone and look sharp when you hit that big meeting.
Prepare to win at business with La Quinta Inns and Suites.
Book now at LQ.com.
Going
home to Cleveland. We're going to do the show from Cleveland, and we'll get people on to urge the Cavs to get back in this series. Hey, good luck.
Is it over? The answer is yes, it's over.
That has to be a sinking feeling when you know you're the best player in the world right now.
Golic and Wingo.
I think it comes up just about every single day. At least I'm not known for a drop. At least I caught it.
Former 49ers wide receiver Dwight Clark has passed away after suffering from ALS.
This guy, he was one of the greatest football players to ever play the game.
The Eagles' visit to the White House for a ceremony to celebrate their Super Bowl championship has been canceled, according to a statement by President Donald Trump.
It sounds like the Eagles took a vote, decided they don't all want to be there.
The Washington Capitals are one victory away from the Stanley Cup.
Live from Progressive Field in Cleveland, Ohio, this is Golic and Wingo.
Well, it is a beautiful, beautiful Tuesday morning here in Cleveland, and we are glad to be here at Progressive Field. Golic and Wingo on ESPN Radio and ESPN News, presented by Progressive Insurance. All phone guests will join us on the Shell Pennzoil Performance Line, and it has turned into quite the glorious morning here. We when we got here early under the stealth of darkness, it was a little cloudy and we couldn't see much. Then the sun came out and somehow it dropped 10 degrees.
Well, and you made a comment of what a beautiful day it was, and now it's pouring.
No, it wasn't pouring. It's a brief shower.
It's raining.
You're so over dramatic.
Hey, let me ask you a question.
Yeah.
Is there rain falling from the sky right now?
No.
Yes, there is. Look at the puddle. See when there's little drops hit the puddle, that means it's raining.
You want me to be a glass half full guy?
Holy
all I see is
smokes.
the beautiful sunshine.
Okay.
That's all I see.
I heard you open your mouth and then I heard rain start falling.
There you go.
I heard you open your mouth and then goat yoga happened. So,
and we are all better for it.
So all kinds of stuff going on. We got lots to get to today. Again, we are excited to be here in Cleveland as we're getting set for Game 3 of the NBA Finals on Wednesday, hoping to turn the tide. The Cleveland Cavs are. The Warriors have no interest in turning the tide whatsoever.
But
they want to keep doing what they're doing.
They do, but this is classic now. What you look at Cleveland, especially role players, will always, statistically it shows, they play better at home, and we have seen Golden State get what's the term? Confident,
swagger,
a little bit of swagger. So lax would be the word. And what you see then is a decent amount of turnovers. You've already seen Cleveland just destroy them on the offensive rebound. So this is kind of set up for the role players to play better. Maybe Golden State lets their foot off the gas a little bit, and the Cleveland at least get back in this series. Make it 2-1 and go from there. It's all they can control right now and see where it goes. But I think a lot of people are not going to be shocked if they see that first win for the Cavs in this series tomorrow.
This is the one I thought they would get, even when I thought the gentleman's sweep was the overwhelming likelihood in this series. Coming back home now, you don't forget what happened in Game 1. We're not going to get over that sting, but you've got to just compartmentalize it at this point. That's all you can do. LeBron James said after Game 1, I'm not going to give up on JR. I'm not going to give up on my teammates. We're going to work past that. No greater environment to do it than the Q.
I do have a question about the gentleman's sweep. When did that become
I don't know where it came from. Right? And for anybody that doesn't know, a gentleman's sweep is 4-1. A sweep is 4-zip, and everybody talking about is Golden State bringing their brooms to Cleveland, to sweep this thing. And for some reason, a gentleman's sweep is the losing team gets one win out of the series. I have no idea where that came from.
Is that like the Canadian tuxedo thing?
No
we
idea.
Started people talking about it.
But somebody said it. Somebody said it. I didn't want to act like I didn't know what it was, so I just said,
bought in?
The gentleman's sweep. We all know about the gentleman's sweep, which I don't.
The Canadian tuxedo thing still really baffles me. But the gentleman's sweep. You let them get one win at home in front of the home crowd, feel good about things,
then
and
it's
then you
not
go
a sweep
on your business.
It's not a sweep.
It's the gentleman's sweep.
A sweep is you take all four and that's it.
I was going to say, listen, a baker's dozen has dozen in the name and it's 13 donuts.
Good. You know what? That's a good point. That is actually a good point.
It always goes back to donuts. It always goes back to donuts.
And why shouldn't it?
It's a sweep or it's not a sweep. I don't. This gentleman's sweep thing, I don't understand.
That one kind of made it make sense for me now. The baker's dozen, of which I've had many.
I spoke your language.
Yes, you did.
Help me.
Yeah.
Help me. That's all I'm asking is give me a little help. And we'll move on with what's trending right now on Golic and Wingo this morning. That freaks me out every time they play that. The Washington Capitals beat the Vegas Golden Knights 6-2 in D.C. and are now just the 34th team to take a 3-1 series lead in the Stanley Cup Finals since it went to a best-of-7 format in 1939. 32 of the previous 33 have gone on to win the Cup, Mike.
Ovechkin leads the Capitals with 14 goals, and that's not shocking for one of the best players out there. But it's been Evgeny Kuznetsov, who has recovered from the upper body injury. I just love the injuries in hockey, how they're described. So, first player to get 4 assists in a Cup final since 1996. Fifth player in the last 20 years to record 30 points in a single postseason. So he's having a big series. Certainly Ovechkin is as well. And on the other side, Marc-Andre Fleury, who have talked about really being the stabling force for the Golden Knights and playing so well at goal, has struggled in this series compared to the other 3 series that they played, and putting them in a position where they had lost only 3 games the entire postseason. Now they lost 3 in a row in a tough position for now players, again, have played a while, but for this organization have never been in this. They have no history. So, but just like Cleveland, I'll say it about them. They're back home, win 1 game. All you can control is 1 game, make it 3-2 and go from there. That's all you can do. But the Capitals on the verge of something obviously huge for Washington.
One of those haunting nights at the beginning, too. James Neal missed a wide open one. A lot of pipe in that first period for the Golden Knights and just couldn't really recover. You mentioned all those other names. On the cusp of something pretty impressive. American hero T.J. Oshie. Last night, goal and 2 assists for a guy that was a part of so much fame and folklore for the U.S. national hockey team.
Shootouts,
now has a chance at our nation's capital to help bring a title to that spot and really cement his legacy as Captain America of the NHL.
Yeah, very true.
And again, the Capitals are fighting their own history as much as they know history is on their side. Again, 32 of the previous 33 teams have gone on to win the Cup up 3-1, but the Capitals' own history up 3-1. They're only 7-5. They've only taken 2 more than they've lost with a 3-1 lead. So that's why every Capitals fan, despite knowing they're just 1 win away, is like, don't talk about it. It hasn't happened yet. I don't want to go down this road until I see 000 on the clock and I see them holding the cup.
Again, first major championship there in a big sport since our buddy Mark Schlereth, right? In 1991,
That's
Washington
exactly
Redskins. Right. So it's been a little while.
Again, the Capitals are on the precipice of being what's everybody's talking about, even though they don't want to talk about. And what's everybody talking about is brought to you by Lowe's. Pros in the know. Start with Lowe's. Go to lowesforpros.com for details. All right, we continue with what's trending. And the Yankees split their doubleheader with the Tigers yesterday in Detroit. But that's not what we're talking about, because Aaron Judge set a record for futility. He became the first player ever with 8 strikeouts in a doubleheader, including 5 in one game, or as we like to call it, the Platinum Sombrero, happening in the nightcap. The 5 strikeouts, a career high for Judge, who led the majors with 208 strikeouts while winning AL Rookie of the Year last season.
So they have the second strikeout highest in baseball with 83 in Judge, and third in Stanton with 76. The leader is Joey Gallo has 85. So you have a couple of the tops in strikeouts, yet you're sitting there at 38 and 18, just 1 out from this battle with the Red Sox. Looks like it's going to happen all year. So this is where we are in baseball. We saw it a lot last year. We saw it, in April, where there were more strikeouts than hits. For the first, I believe that's what it was for the first time in baseball. So this is, again, where we are with guys going for the big shot, either getting it or walking back to the dugout after a strikeout.
And we've seen it happen not just to these guys, but to some of the other better hitters in Major League Baseball over the last few years. Paul Goldschmidt from the Arizona Diamondbacks, top 10 in strikeouts this season. Trevor Story from the Rockies, who we remember burst onto the scene in a big way. I think it was last season or the season before to start the year. Top 10 in strikeouts right now. So this is the trend of the league. And we've seen with all these guys, we read all these stats about strikeouts for the Yankee players, and then we read a stat in April. They were the first team with 4 players with over 10 home runs by X date in April in the league. So this is just the way it works. You get so much good out of these guys.
And they do lead the majors with, 94 home runs this year. So this is sort of the Yankees encompass what baseball is right now. Go big or go home. They go big a lot, they go home a lot.
And then fun in the second game, Giancarlo Stanton against Mike Fiers, the pitcher for Detroit. This is a guy that hit Stanton in the face a couple of years ago. Just to step back in the batter's box after getting hit in the face and what that did to him. So he was, again, and this dude hit him in the arm, hits him again. Stanton stares him down, walking down the first base line. The catcher gets in the way to make sure nothing happens. Later on in the game, Stanton hits a home run off of him. Flips the bat, comes around home plate, steps on home plate, and points at the pitcher, to which he admitted doing. So we'll see if, because everybody in baseball has a memory of an elephant. So we'll see if that carries over at some point again.
We'll see. We'll see. Yeah. We'll see the next time those two face each other. There's no question. And we finish up what's trending as we stay in baseball, and we find ourselves in a little bit of a kerfuffle.
Yes, we do.
Major League Baseball and the Major League Players Association are now in negotiations with ESPN to reschedule a Yankees game that would require them to start 3 games within 24 hours in 2 different cities. That in the USA Today Sports article. The Yankees are apparently mad at ESPN. That we scheduled a July 8th Sunday night baseball game in Toronto, which preceded a doubleheader the next day in Baltimore. They had threatened to boycott ESPN reporters the rest of the season, according to a person familiar with the protest.
So here's what happened. The Yankees were going to play in Baltimore on that Monday, and because of a postponed game, they turned that into a doubleheader to take care of it. So they had a doubleheader set. And then ESPN, just like you see in the NFL, they have the right to flex games and put the better games on Sunday night. So they put a Yankees game on Sunday night in Toronto. So essentially the Yankees will be playing Sunday night in Toronto, traveling to Baltimore and doing a doubleheader. And Aaron Boone, as Trey said, not having it. They were going to boycott talking to ESPN reporters for the rest of the year, the whole deal. They're going to work, so they have to work something out. You can't do this. I mean, this was a glitch. This was a mistake that needs to get fixed. You can't make a team do this.
Yeah, I'm interested how we came here because the Yankees announced this decision to play that doubleheader on Thursday. I haven't seen yet when we announced the decision to flex this. How soon after it came was this really taken into account fully and truly? Because we're going to walk this back. This is going to be an easy fix. There's no going through this. Because also, Aaron Boone's a guy that knows how the game goes. I mean, he was on Sunday Night Baseball. He watched this stuff all play out from our perspective. So I'm sure he understood all this was going to take was a little bit of flexing on the part of the Yankees to make this work.
Cooler heads need to prevail here because, again, I think you can flex into Sunday Night Baseball, 6 times on the year?
Yeah, five or six times. And they've done it twice already, I believe.
So let's not, look, we'll take our business people will take care of
it's going to work out. But you know you can't do this.
Right.
They can't play Sunday night in Toronto and then a doubleheader in Baltimore the next day. Tough call.
These are tough spots. I remember even my senior year at Notre Dame when we played, I think, 6 or 7 night games over the course of that season. Some of them West Coast games, and you quickly realize the attrition that starts to add up when you're getting back at 4 o'clock in the morning on Sundays after these games, these long night games. And at that point, you're a student athlete expected to go back into the rigors of the academic week and the practice week and all those things add up. Aaron Boone and the Yankees worried about, even in baseball, a sport that we talk about as low impact, still plenty of mileage on these guys' bodies, especially in a short time.
Wait, you played at Notre Dame?
Once or twice.
And you went to Notre Dame?
Yes, I did.
You guys never bring that up.
We won't. We don't like to talk about it.
Especially not around here. You're public enemy number 1 because of that around here.
That's very true.
Right.
Very true.
And that is indeed what's trending on this Tuesday morning here as we continue on Golic and Wingo, presented by Progressive Home Insurance. Get your quote at progressive.com today. Well, Mike, you and I are of a certain age, and there are certain iconic plays that you grow up with and that will always live in your memory. And look, this play is going to live in a lot of people's memories for a lot of years, no matter when you grew up. But this one was one that was with our generation. It was known as the catch. That really propelled the San Francisco 49ers onto being the franchise that they became in the 80s and the 90s. The first team to win 5 Super Bowl championships. That catch was made by Dwight Clark, the wide receiver for the San Francisco 49ers, who yesterday lost his battle with ALS, Lou Gehrig's disease, and myotrophic lateral sclerosis at the age of 61. And the sad thing here is that Dwight was only diagnosed in September of 2015.
Yeah.
And he didn't last 3 years with this horrific disease. And it just shows you how difficult this disease is, because people think Lou Gehrig's disease or ALS. It's really a group of neuromuscular diseases that are all sort of we're trying to figure this thing out, and it just shows you how difficult the battle can be. Because again, Dwight was diagnosed when he felt some weakness in one of his hands in September of 2015, and he passes away in June of 2018. Not even 3 years later. And then you look at Steve Gleason, the former safety for the New Orleans Saints. Who is still battling and doing a great job, actually, living his best life, in with ALS and in that wheelchair now, but out there and through the use of the eye movement with computers, he can talk and communicate with his family, and his son is out there doing many great things and raising money, and it just shows you how deadly and how horrible this disease is,
it can,
and how much we don't know about it yet, and why funding is so important and continues to be so. But look, I'm sure you have Dwight Clark memories. I have Dwight Clark memories. I'd like to share one of mine with you. I as you guys know, I grew up a Dallas Cowboys fan. Even though I grew up on the East Coast, my mom and dad, my whole family's from Texas. We lived overseas when I was a kid. We came back, and the first thing I saw was a Cowboys game on Monday Night Football. My parents were all excited. Oh, the Cowboys. I'm like, I'll be a Cowboys fan. And then they went on to win a lot, which was great. So I was in college my freshman year when the catch was made. It was the Cowboys against the 49ers, and Dwight Clark made that catch, and I was just so upset and angry and all that kind of stuff. And I swore I'd never watch that replay again until the Cowboys would go back and win a game in San Francisco in the NFC Championship, and they did in '92. And so I got to meet Dwight many years later after I'd come to work at ESPN at a charity golf event. And he couldn't have been a nicer man. He came up to me. I mean, he came up to me. I just started at ESPN, been there a couple of years. He came up to me, hey, Trey Wingo, Dwight Clark, so nice to meet you. I've watched your work. I'm like, you watch my work? I watched your work, man. And we sort of had a moment. Said, you ruined a whole year for me with that catch from that thing. And he's like, sorry, I had to do it. Sprint right option, Joe Montana, the whole thing. And then we kept bumping into each other year after year at some golf tournaments, and we always had a joke about, hey, we're past that now, and we're buddies and all that kind of stuff. And it's just gone way too soon. At the age of 61, it's heartbreaking. Yeah. I feel for his family. I feel for his wife. I feel for his kids. I feel for the entire 49ers organization that had really embraced him and done a lot of things to help him in his journey these last couple of years. And it just shows you how valuable the fight needs to be against a disease like this, which is just so damaging.
Well, and you mentioned Steve Gleason, and I also thought of another, someone else living with ALS who's done a lot of work in that, and that's Pete Frates, the former Boston College baseball star.
Absolutely.
Stuff like the Ice Bucket Challenge is fun, and it goes viral, but it's for a reason, and it did a lot of really good work.
It's done amazing things in the research.
Yeah, so it's a reminder that the things like that, when they come up, they're done for a reason, and they're done for very important reasons, and especially around something like this, you've got very worthy champions, guys that are battling through this themselves, but have decided that they're going to hitch the wagon of this cause to themselves and pull this into the future. So we continue to support those efforts. We continue to get behind them as best we can to try and make sure things like this happen less and less often.
And then you look at kind of the life and the career of Dwight Clark, and a lot of people, obviously, you say the catch and you know about what it is, but you go back to how it started for him. Here was a guy who, as a senior at Clemson, had 11 receptions. That was it. And it was actually,
think about that in today's
It was actually
draft.
A phone call that Bill Walsh, who was going to be the new head coach there, called because Steve Fuller, the quarterback, was his roommate.
Right.
Bill Walsh had called to talk to Steve Fuller about coming in and watching him throw. Dwight Clark answered the phone. And Dwight Clark kind of talked Bill Walsh into, let me show you what I can do when you're watching Steve Fuller throw. I'm going to catch some of the balls. And so that's exactly what happened. And then Dwight Clark gets drafted in the 10th round. But he gets drafted after 11 catches his senior year. He gets drafted the first pick of the 10th round, 2 Super Bowls later, 2 Pro Bowls later, 2 All-Pro stints later, NFL receptions leader in 1982. You never know how your chance comes about, but that's how his chance came about. And you think about that catch. There's a 10th rounder catching the ball, getting thrown to by arguably the greatest quarterback of all time, who was a 3rd round draft pick in Joe Montana, a guy I got to know well, and he played with my brother Bob at Notre Dame. The one story I have about Dwight is he and Joe were on the show more than a few times when I was doing Mike and Mike, and we were talking to Dwight one time, and he said he and Joe were in a car going to do an appearance somewhere, and they were driving through a neighborhood, and they happened to see in the neighborhood 2 kids playing football. One had a Montana jersey on, the other had a Dwight Clark jersey on, and they were playing catch. They actually stopped, got out, and played catch for a while and reenacted the catch with those kids who were wearing their jerseys.
How cool is that?
Said it was a really, really cool moment. Just came out of nowhere. They were stunned to see those kids out there, and they said, we got to stop. We got to stop. We got to hang out with these kids and play catch with them. So very, very cool moment. And the way the 49ers have embraced him and brought everybody back for a game to see him. And a lot of those players went out to Wyoming not long ago basically to say goodbye to him because things were not going well. It was the DeBartolo, in all honesty, DeBartolo had the owner of the 49ers, had such a family atmosphere out there when they were all
San
playing.
Francisco, no question.
And again, gone too quickly, and a horrible, horrible disease that we continue to fight for. But it's also a chance while he was gone too young to celebrate his life and what he did as well and the successes that he had.
A football immortal. So few few of us get the chance to be remembered for anything, even the entire breadth of your career, but to be one of those guys that has a singular moment that will always be synonymous. The catch will always be synonymous with Dwight Clark in a way that you can't remove. And so for a number of guys, there are Hall of Famers, there are a litany of all-time greats in the sport, but very few that have that distinction. So while it was a life that was cut tragically short, it was a life that had highs that the rest of us could only dream about.
In a statement released by the DiBartolo family, he said, "I cannot put into words how special Dwight was to me and to everyone his life touched. He was an amazing husband, father, grandfather, brother, and a great friend and teammate. He showed tremendous courage and dignity in his battle with ALS, and we hope there will soon be a cure for this horrendous disease." Through my meetings with one of his former teammates, Scott Fujita, I got a chance to sort of get to know Steve a little bit, Steve Gleason. And they asked me to come do some work for their documentary, the Gleason documentary, when it came out. And I went to the premiere in New York and did some Q&A with Steve's wife about, their battle and how they've been dealing with this. And if you have a chance to watch that movie, Gleason, it'll show you, the amazing things that he has done and the amazing things that awareness like Steve Gleason and Dwight Clark and Pete Frates have been able to bring to this disease. I mean, I'm glad you brought that up, Junior, about the Ice Bucket Challenge, because literally through that period, funding, I think, went through the roof, like 400% over what it was before. And with that funding, they actually were able to discover some of the genes that were the actual problems with the disease, and now they're working with that to try and find a cure, which they never would have found had they not gone through the Ice Bucket Challenge. So again, the disease is horrendous. We hope to continue to find ways to battle it, but Dwight Clark gone just far too soon at the age of 61.
Hey everyone, Mike Golic here. Support for the Golic Wingo podcast comes from our friends at Rocket Mortgage by Quicken Loans. Chances are you're confident when it comes to your work, your hobbies, your life. Rocket Mortgage gives you that same level of confidence when it comes to buying a home or refinancing your existing home loan. With Rocket Mortgage, you can apply simply and understand fully so you can mortgage confidently. To get started, go to rocketmortgage.com/Mikes. Equal housing lender, licensed in all 50 states, NMLSconsumeraccess.org number 3030. To give batters a different look, pitchers throw a changeup.
Your idea of a different look is sunglasses.
That's true. But La Quinta Inns and Suites is really taking the different look thing to a new level.
Definitely a major league makeover, starting with a bolder, brighter lobby full of comfortable spaces to let you settle in.
Or chill out in front of a big flat screen like Wingo would.
Oh, you know it. It's a changing La Quinta look to help you get in the zone and look sharp when you hit that big meeting.
Prepare to win at business with La Quinta Inns and Suites.
Book now at LQ.com.
All right, we are live from Progressive Field. Glad you're with us on Golic and Wingo on a Tuesday morning. Presented by Progressive Insurance. All phone guests joined us on the Shell Pennzoil Performance Line. As the sun is coming up, it is getting warmer. And I just want people to know what I have to deal with on a daily basis. Golic and Wingo here with you, Mike Golic Jr., Trey Wingo. We have a special guest we'll get to in a minute. But as I was doing SportsCenter and doing the read, I looked to my right, and Mike Golic Sr. has a plastic knife.
No, it's not plastic.
It's a real butter knife. It's a real butter knife.
Yeah.
Okay, and he's attempting to stab his son.
Well, no.
And his son has some sort of junior plastic pincer thing, and they're just battling each other left and right like two 4-year-olds.
Who started it? Who started it?
Think about this. The adult, the older one is saying, who started it
real
right now?
Mature, real good example you're setting for the youth here. You should be ashamed of yourself.
This is what I put up with on a daily basis.
He started it. That's all I got to say. You know what? He started it. I finish it.
Help me.
Yeah.
That's all I'm asking.
Whatever.
Help me get through this madness.
Thank God. You know what? When you've got a knife and a clamp, you know what the only weapon that's going to win in the fight is?
What?
Hammer.
There you go. And ladies and gentlemen, it's hammer time. As ESPN Cleveland's Aaron Goldhammer joins us on the set, giving us the Straight Talk, brought to you by Straight Talk Wireless, best phones, best networks, no contracts.
Trey, do you need me to step in and be a parent here?
No, I need you to eat the poop, Aaron, is what I need.
Oh, wow.
I need you to quit messing around and eat the damn poop, Aaron.
We brought all these people here to do this.
Can we get a chant? Eat the poop. Eat the poop. Eat the poop.
Wow, really?
For those that don't know, Aaron Goldhammer, in one of the most catastrophic, horrendous decisions of all time, said that if the Browns did indeed draft Baker Mayfield #1 overall, he would eat horse poop. And we're still waiting.
Well, first of all, do you expect anyone to take my Cavaliers opinion seriously when you set me up as the poop eater? Did you hear what the poop eater said about Tristan Thompson on Golic and Wingo on ESPN radio this morning?
You set yourself up.
Yeah, you did. It's your own fault.
Let's be clear about
well, you guys,
that.
I didn't think they were going to take Baker Mayfield, obviously. Now, we are still in negotiations. The update is
What's the negotiation? You said if they take him, you'd eat the poop. There is no negotiation.
The negotiation is that we want to promote this a little bit and make it a thing. And I talked to a vet recently from Ohio State who said, do you know what mad cow disease is? Yeah. And I said, yes. And she said, you might get that if you do this. So
might.
Yeah, I mean,
chances are small.
Here's the thing: you're overthinking this. You see the dude from Philly just put his face down in horse poop and ate it.
Yeah. Has anyone heard from that guy since?
I'm sure he's fine.
No, he died. He died.
There's a reason the president didn't invite them to the White House, and that's it.
That's it. That all revolves around horse poop.
That's it.
Yeah, I'm going to say that's not it at all.
Yeah.
Honest tip of the day.
Remotely.
Wow.
All right, so we'll get into that.
Yeah,
we'll have more
get
discussions, but you're eating that poop. There's just no way around it.
Yeah. You definitely are.
Anybody have any poop right now? Let's go.
Oh, come on.
You can saute it. You can fricassee it any way you want.
I know you're looking to cook it, so we'll get into that. But the bottom line is tomorrow we have Game 3 here in Cleveland. How are the Cleveland fans on the show? What is their sense of, can we get back in this, or are we just kind of doing this for pride now? Right now, where are they?
So, I think there's a little difference between how I feel and how the fans feel. I think fans are still reeling a little bit from what happened in Game 1, which was a really painful loss in Cleveland sports history. I would also say, though, when you have LeBron on your team, you feel like you always have a chance. And while everybody around the country has written off the Cavs all series, I think Cleveland fans are approaching this with the Cleveland against the world mentality. And I think they feel like if you can find a way to win Game 3, which I think people are confident that they can do, you have a Game 4 to even this thing up at 2. Because I would say, I feel like the Cavs have actually been in both of these games. It's been single digits in the fourth quarter in Oakland. Steph went off. That's going to happen. In order to beat the Warriors, you're going to have to survive them beating you by 20 in one of the games, I feel like. So I don't think it's as dire for the Cavs as a lot of people think.
Well, it isn't dire, but it's certainly not positive. I mean, they are down 2-0, and that video of the end of Game 1 in regulation has certainly gone viral. And we've all sort of discussed it where JR and LeBron are walking back over to the bench, and nobody's saying a word to anybody. They're all sitting down there, and about a minute 30 in when Ty Lue comes over, and LeBron looks at him and says, wait, we had a timeout? And then he gets crestfallen. How has that played here? That reaction, not only LeBron and JR sort of not saying a word to each other, nobody really saying a word except Kyle Korver and maybe Tristan Thompson, and then the exchange there between LeBron and Ty Lue. How has that played here?
So JR used to be a hero in Cleveland after what happened in Game 7 in 2016. He scored
shirtless
a big
wonder.
That's right. Big 8 points in the third quarter and then took his shirt off for about
6
summer.
months. Yeah,
right. Now I think his legacy is significantly more complicated after what happened in Game 1.
Kind of like yours will be after you eat the poop.
Sure. LeBron also has gotten some criticism, which I think is crazy from Cavs fans, for not being more communicative to JR in that moment. Now, our expectations of LeBron are pretty outrageous as it is.
It's insane.
51-8-8, and you're mad at him because he wasn't the coach in that moment. And I know a lot of people see LeBron as the coach of the Cavs, but guys, personally, I think that's a moment where Ty Lue has to jump in. I think that's why he's making millions of dollars a year. And after I watched that video, I thought it was heartbreaking, number one. And B, I realized why the Cavs had no chance to win the game in overtime after I watched the sequence of the way they interacted with each other on the bench.
Yeah, soul crushing in that moment. But you're right, Ty Lue, although when Ty Lue does step in, apparently he gets teed up now. So that's how he's rewarded for any sort of assertion in this series. I go back to what you said before. I think this has been a lot closer series. I was on the complete other end of this going in. I talked about the gentleman's sweep and how this is going to be overwhelmingly Golden State. And Cleveland in the middle of 2 losses, I get that there are no moral victories, but has proven that this is a team that, while they may have skated by and gotten through a first-round series they probably shouldn't have won, they did, and they're a team that looks like they deserve to be here. They look like a team that is going every bit of the way with Golden State right now.
The one thing that concerns me, though, Junior, is Andre Iguodala coming back in this series is going to be a major factor. It's another body for them to throw at LeBron, and that was an advantage Cavs. I felt like going into Game 2, if Clay was hobbled, that was also an advantage Cavs. But if both those guys are healthy, I mean, let's be honest, the Warriors are just really, 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 really good. And it's going to be hard to beat them 4 times in 5 games. There's no doubt about that.
Yeah, listen, they're better than the Cavs. They're better than every team in the NBA. They have to be off a little bit for a team to have a chance in a 7-game series against them. We'll see if that happens. How about the fans here in Cleveland on their thought of, do they think LeBron is gone? Or do they think there's a chance he can stay? Where are they with that? Are they resigned to this is the end?
Yeah, I don't know if there's any way for me to sum up how everybody feels in answer to that question. So I feel odd being sort of the steward of answering that on behalf of the entire fan base. We talk to fans every day that are convinced that what he wrote in that letter in 2014 is going to hold true, and he'll never play for another organization, and he'll own the Cavs in that building right across the street one day. I also talked to fans who yesterday were saying that when he goes to Philly, they're going to root for him to beat Kyrie in Boston and Golden State at one point in his career. I don't think anybody knows. I think deep down, people are concerned that he's going to leave because there is this broken trust, guys, that still exists between Cleveland and LeBron from 2010, that even though people don't like to talk about it at parties, it's still there, it's still palpable. And so I think deep down in the soul, most Cleveland fans feel like he might leave again. But there's also that, as you know, guys, there's that odd Cleveland hope that you kind of circle back into that mix. So it's this broken trust but hope that's all kind of this complicated thing that I'm trying to describe.
Yeah, well, look, it is complicated, and I think the championship and the fact that he came back does change the dynamic. We know we won't be doing a televised special about what's going next again. Should that happen again, it's just going to happen quietly.
Yeah, he may join me, we'll eat poop, and he'll make the announcement all at the same time.
There you go. All right, speaking of that, we'll get into that because someone else put their money where their mouth is and paid up on it. We're still waiting on you to do it. Aaron Goldhammer will be with us, but we got something else to do, and we'll get to that.
At Trex, we know there's a place for wood in your backyard. We recommend the fire pit. But when it comes down to choosing the right material for your next deck, look no further than the superior beauty and durability of the world's #1 premium decking brand. Trex delivers the look of wood without all of the work and the worry, and it's made from 95% recycled materials, which makes it the right choice for your backyard 100% of the time. To learn how to make Trex your next deck, visit Trex.com to order samples.
All right, so Aaron, I guess we have to go back to the poop discussion. Hugh Jackson, the Browns head coach, has already paid off his bet. He dove into Lake Erie. He said,
yes, he did.
If we go 1-15 again, I'm diving into the lake. And technically, he had an out. They didn't go 1-15. They went 0-16.
But he dove into the lake.
The spirit of the law, the spirit of the bet was held up. So I know we're debating this, and you have the mad cow concerns. I don't have any of those concerns for you. I just want you to know that because I'm not eating the poop. Right. But have we found a way to make this more of a palatable dish for you?
Yes, there have been some discussions for making it a more palatable thing. But I want to remind everybody, it took Hugh about 6 or 7 months. Yes. He wanted to raise money for his foundation.
Oh,
they
that's
wanted
good.
to get the logistics.
Blah, blah, blah.
So I just, I want you guys to be patient with me and give us some time.
Are you raising money for a foundation?
I am going to raise some money for a charity.
I think by now you should have known what charity you're going for.
Yeah.
I think you're just stalling at this point.
No.
I mean,
the Cleveland Food Bank needs our time and money, Trey.
Well, that was April. Okay, it's now June. You need to commit to a charity. We need you to commit to something.
I'm willing to commit to the Cleveland Food Bank.
There you
today.
go. All right, we got it. Cleveland Food Bank.
Another step in the right direction.
There you go.
Right. Sponsored by our friends at Scott's. Check.
See, here's the downside for me is on this bet is you're looking for way, and I get for radio bit lengthening it out. I get all that, but you need to just eat the poop. You can't prepare it in a food style. That's wrong.
Why?
Because you said you would eat horse poop. eat horse poop. It's not prepared like a meal like you want to get Michael Simon involved, great friend of the show, great chef obviously as well. You can't go down that road. To me, that's cheating. You got to eat horse poop.
So we have dug into a few things.
I'm kind of with Aaron.
Dug into some poop?
No. As long as there's poop being eaten, it doesn't matter whether it's fried, fricasseed, sauteed,
disagree.
Or
Maybe
grilled,
stop digging and start
barbecued.
Not to gross everybody out.
Oh, no, that we've already.
Okay.
We're
That's
way
not
past
happen.
that. Just so you know,
if you're enjoying
we are
your
way
breakfast
past
right now,
that.
I just but apparently it's healthier for me to consume human excrement.
Oh boy.
Over.
Oh my God.
Horse.
You know what? When you said if this is too gross for you, maybe look away, I wasn't sure how it was going to get worse.
So
and
do
it
we
just
want
got
to put
worse.
up a poll on Twitter?
No, we don't. Your bet was horse poop. Eat the horse poop. That's it.
Now I'm going to ask forgiveness for everyone for this next question. Why is it healthier for you to eat human poop?
Well, Trey, apparently,
it's gone dark.
So apparently, in your gut, the bacteria of a human gut, they actually, like a gastroenterologist would tell you, that human poop can be good for the human gut because of the bacteria that's going on in your intestines. Now, I'm no GI, but from biblical times, they have been trying to convince people not to eat the excrement of an animal because the bacteria that's living in there belongs in an animal and not in a human being.
Look what you've done to our show.
Listen, this show has not been going on that long.
Look what you've done to us.
The most regrettable moment.
And I had to ask the question.
No, you didn't.
I did.
No, you didn't.
I had to ask the question.
No, you did not.
Dang,
no.
I had to ask the question.
No, I disagree with that wholeheartedly.
So I'm 100% clear. There is a possibility that to pay off this bet, instead of eating the horse poop of which you
keep bringing it up,
you're going down that road.
No, you're not.
So the question is, if it's a human who's...
No.
All right, guys, I'm going to go ahead and put a stop to all this right now. This has gone on way too far. This is disgusting. This is an abomination. This is not what ESPN was built for. We should all be ashamed of ourselves for not being more gracious hosts. Aaron, I will offer up my poop.
That's your son with
right
whom
now,
you are well pleased.
Here and now. Me and you.
Can I hold off and see if Stugatz will let me eat his poop?
Oh!
Poogats!
It just got so much worse. I didn't think it was possible.
Will Kane? Anybody?
You just made it worse.
Stephen A?
Get out.
Stephen A.
Go. Stop giving him ideas. Stop it. All right, I don't even want to shake your hand right now, but I feel like I have to.
Goodbye, Aaron.
Aaron,
guys,
thank you. Wash this.
See you in the bathroom.
Coming up, if there was a college course called LeBron 101, our next guest would be the professor, and I guarantee you, he ain't eating no poop. Stay with us. That's ahead. Golic, Wingo,
oh boy,
and poop.
Yeah.